2025. What a year, huh? I don't need to tell you how much this year sucked. I mean, you're a person capable of empathy, you know. At the risk of sounding like a broken record, I've been told throughout my life to write what you know. Unfortunately, it feels like all I've known this year is anger or pent-up frustration that I don't have a viable outlet for. Then it melts into reminiscence for something better or something past. It's been hard to stare down a flood of pain and hurt, to put thoughts to words through a lens that makes sense to me. But then there are glimmers of something else amidst all of that. Of self-improvement, of striving for something better when you thought you knew everything you needed. Of knowing, learning, and reconsidering what you took for granted. Of appreciation for what a story can make you feel and how stories are designed to make so many of us feel. Of renewed hope in ways to push back against a cruel world, physically if need be, but mostly emotionally. Sometimes I wish I could turn it off, you know? Separate the thing I love from the reality we live in, but I can't. Not now, God, especially not now. This is what I know, and this medium is how I crystallize those thoughts. Games have always been a core pillar for me. As a pocket of joy after a trying time, a rich story for me and me alone, a memory with people that I love. In the last many years, they've become something to examine, something to consider, and something I use to just be with my feelings for a moment, whatever those feelings are. They are simultaneously academic inspiration and fun escape. They are rife with meaning, both authorial and personal. And just the same, they are flashing lights on a screen that shoot dopamine straight into my eyeballs. They have meant the world to me for so long, even and especially as the world shows me something else. Whatever games have been to you this year, I hope they've done something good for you. If they just got you through this year, or taught you something new, or made you feel something, I hope they helped. Hard to jump back from that, but let's try. Roll that beautiful completion list. All right, next, the backlog. Rapid fire, no nuance, let's go. Next, the wish list, split 3 ways. First, the unseen. We've been here before. Store pages are still up, updates are non-existent, and still, I hope. You don't need to get emotionally invested in my waiting game, so let's just, Great. So, next up, the immediate. These games are available for purchase, or should be in the 2025 calendar year. I just need to bury my superego enough to make some questionable financial decisions.
3, 2, 1, go!
Even after all this time, I want to hit bad guys with a hammer and be whimsical. My track record with Souls-style games leaves a lot to be desired, and yet I'm a simple man who just wants to spawn a series of tables to defeat evil. It's not that my invitation got lost, I'm just very fashionably late. The latest entry in Shepard wanting to get into a thing many years too late. I got my own unfinished business, and it's more RoboCop. Sorry, we're closed. More like, sorry, I haven't gotten around to this yet. Oh, wait. I don't need more horror in my life, but... And people say you can't shoot your way into a better world. Dreams of sustainability and actual coexistence with nature? Oh, yeah. Hey, you wanna know a secret? I still think my PC would melt if I tried to run this. I'm not the bastard here, you are. To shred through magical vistas on my dope sword board. What's the rush? I'll just wait until everything's released, right? Right? As per usual, if Nintendo won't do it, thank an indie. Ooh boy, more gameplay mysteries for my smooth brain to unravel. Tiny protagonist in a big scary world? I'm not projecting, you are. Shut up. Overwhelming world outside and horrifying world inside? I'm not projecting, you are. Shut up. Oh no, a story about AI that hits too close to home, whatever shall we do? Y'all know I like mysteries, right? Yeah, shut up. I have feelings about the past fading away. Sometimes a trailer just hits you and that's all you need to want to experience it. You had me at supernatural detective mystery. Look, Neil Newbon says to try a thing and he's in the thing. I'm gonna hear him out. Hey, who got feelings in my evil fatal resident frame? Looks like Lake, but eerie. Lake Erie? Oh no, the vibes. They're too immaculate. Be anxious, inspect garbage, flip people off. Escapism. What do you mean I can't just find the infinite iron vein and patience my way to victory? Oh, from the folks who made Before Your Eyes? My tear ducts are ready. You had me at psychedelic horror experience.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll be fine and achieve a 100% mortality rate, no problem.
I haven't forgotten about you, funky robot guy. Look, I never grew out of my OG Telltale phase, and I have no intention of starting now.
Complete!
Lastly, the Horizon. They're coming, and I haven't been given a reason to believe otherwise. Yet.
3, 2, 1, go!
New suave Hitman looks good after growing out his hair, but what's with this license he needs all of a sudden? In space, everyone's gonna hear me scream. You know how I feel about work sims and cloud punk. Gimme. Well, now I just need to find a Switch 2. And money for a Switch 2. Maybe this grisly murder will be the one that fixes me. So what if I haven't rolled credits on the first two? You gonna gatekeep me from all that trauma? Haunted Stardew Valley. Haunted Stardew Valley. It's BioShock, but in space. No, not System Shock. No, not Prey, just... What can I say? Really, I don't know what to say. This art is getting a little too personal for me. Yeah, let's give the mortuary assistant folks an entire house to work with. That won't give me an underlying heart condition. Maybe this will be the language game that fixes me. For those of us who don't have muscle memory from Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. What if the vibes of Roller Coaster Tycoon, but the dystopia of late-stage capitalism? Rated M for Mamma Mia, that's a lot of hooks! You had me at GeoGuessr-inspired detective game. It's from the Spiritfarer crew. Do you need more reason than that? Perfect time to go play the other suckers for love while you wait. You're just like all the others. You're gonna make me cry again, aren't ya? I've never wanted to take a ride through Silent Hill's bike trails, and yet... horror. But make it game design. After the root trees, yes, please give more itch.io mysteries the remaster treatment.
With growing excitement, I love smelly ape and rat friend and hope nothing bad happens to them.
Who ever thought Eldritch puzzles could feel so cozy? You had me at Farming Simulator from the unhinged minds that gave us sunless seas and sunless skies. Get out of here, Disco Elysium. There are some new manifestations of abstract concepts in town, and I love them all. So it's the first Frostpunk, but shinier? Yeah, alright, here's my money. Once again, if Nintendo won't do it, thank an indie. I mean, no, they technically haven't finished the original campaign yet, but that doesn't change anything. Yeah, I'm cool being scared away from bodies of water after dark for the foreseeable ever. Now this is a blend of genres I can't get out of my head. Come on, give me the epic time-spanning RPG. It's been so long since Chrono Trigger.
Success!
Now, looking back. The podium, starting with things that aren't games. I've read more books in the last year than I have in several years past combined. That's not a flex, I promise you, but one of those books really stood out. Virginia Woolf's feminist essay book, A Room of One's Own. Yes, I read it largely as a research item for a project. No, that did not diminish its impact. It was comforting to realize that so many thoughts and feelings I have are mirrored in this book and the roots of feminism. Amusing to realize that feminism has never been as radical as folk would lead you to believe. And infuriating that things are still bad in the way that was described nearly a century ago. We have very similar problems, even as we live in very different worlds. If you take in a singular piece of feminist literature, and there are a lot of good ones out there, this was my favorite. If you start with one, this is a good jumping off point. It hits hard, it pulls no punches, but it's also you can recognize when a larger opponent is bearing down on you. When you can see it pulling back to swing, you'll already know how to weave around it and hit back. I've always had a soft spot for animated movies. The craft, the effort, the vision behind them, there's just something about them that a live-action film can't replicate. I cannot put into words why K-pop Demon Hunter sunk its hooks into me from the moment I saw its trailer, but that was all it took. My roommate and I, both grown-ass adults, sat enraptured for the entire runtime. It is unabashed in its vibes and its intent, like a simple promise that you're gonna have a good time if you let it do its job. It was like watching the animated movies from my childhood when I was a child. Just joy and giddiness and investment in these characters for an hour and a half. 90 minutes where your entire world could just be projected out of a screen, where music is both diegetic and integrated into the world. Where the world is goofy, feelings are complicated, and evil can be overcome with love. It was good to feel good for a while. The next three fall into a joined category: vampire stuff, each of them playing with the concept in their own way. Nosferatu fits snugly into the concept I've mentioned this year on the channel, of every story has already been told. But sometimes we need to have these old stories retold. They need to be brought back into the light to remind us of their original staying power and to make that message more accessible to a new audience. It exists then and now to make us aware of power dynamics, not as a plot point, but as a weapon, about how power can be perpetuated simply from norms and expectations. Sinners in our modern world is humbling. An examination of culture and assimilation, individuality and belonging, using that universal element of horror to drive the point home. The question of both what we are willing to sacrifice to belong, or how little we have left that we would so willingly walk into the arms of Legion. Asking what our individual self means as part of a collective or a community, be that in monster, faith, or family. It asks and never tells you what the right answer is, because everyone walks away with their own answer in the end. Gabrielle Urbina's Dracula the Dance Macabre is a fascinating audio drama. It's the story of Dracula at its core, but built on the bones of the stories that have been told before, the structure becomes something entirely its own. A story of humanity in the monstrous in humanity, of abuse and cruelty, brilliance and justice, wounds and scars. It is the story of Dracula, about the characters from Dracula, and it banks on you knowing them. And because you know what to expect, you don't know what comes next. Join the Party is an actual play podcast. 3 players, Amanda, Brandon, and Julia, played Dungeons & Dragons, Monster of the Week, or, most recently, Masks, as the best GM in podcasting, Eric, tries to keep them from breaking the entire campaign. There's dice, jokes, the usual, and don't get me wrong, I love that silly stuff, but most recently, for their 4th campaign, that's what clinched it for me. The players are all role-playing as high school students going through their last year in superhero high school. Usually, it feels pretty cringe when adults pretend to be children, but my god, do they kill it. When I'm listening and I just want to hug a character or tell them they're doing okay or to slow down and not do something stupid, it's throwing me right back into my career working with younger people. It's not emulation or imitation, it's respectful. Everyone is still cognizant of the crap that young people have to deal with, how much those things matter at that time. It's just interspersed with teen superhero drama. For as much as there is laughter, there is tension. For every exciting encounter, there are quiet moments in between. It is, above all else, genuine. Join the Party is a love letter to games and friendship, and a bright spot whenever I see a new episode has dropped. Lastly, Game Changer. It is my comfort show, even when I have no idea what's coming. It is equal parts psychological warfare and wholesome hilarity. It is 7 seasons of inside jokes, callbacks, spin-offs, and the unexpected. It still hasn't overstayed its welcome. I love it. Even as the rules change every show, some things stay the same. Host and mastermind Sam Reich is just as beholden to his rules as the players are, a mad trickster happy to both run and play the games, tangled in a web of his own making. Competition is flipped on its head, questioning the very definition of competition within the same episode. It is frantic and loud and wild, but then it's heartwarming and fun and kind. It is good, and it does good. I ask you, take my word for it. To talk at length about Game Changer is to spoil even a fraction of what it has in store for you. Trust me, Game Changer alone is worth the price of admission. Or subscription. You get it. Alright, enough passive entertainment. Let's get into the active stuff. Or should I say, the interactive. These are my favorite games I played in 2025. As always, regardless of when they were released. Citizen Sleeper 2, Starward Vector. It's no secret that I loved Citizen Sleeper, and I was bought into the sequel from the moment the trailer flew into my eyeballs. At first, I was just hoping for more of the same. But Starward Vector gave us something else. Not necessarily more by way of content or locations or mechanics, although to be fair, it did, but more story. Not a deeper dive into the established characters, Erland's Eye, or what we knew, but wider, vaster, making more of this galaxy too close to home feel that much more lived in. The Sleeper is only ever a focal point. The story is not entirely about them, but orbits around them, finding new tragic, beautiful, or hopeful ways to hit us exactly where it hits the hardest. Also, you can adopt a space cat. Conscript. I've been a fan of the survival horror genre for some time now. I remember rationing ink ribbons on the original Resident Evils, downloading scads of horror games from the Xbox Live Arcade, and nowadays, scouring for the next spooky Steam demo. But Conscript felt different from the get-go. It is capable of being whatever it needs to be for its player. Atmospheric and tense, with checkpoints and safety nets keeping player momentum, or, as I set it up, it can be nerve-wracking and cautionary. Conscript bucks expectations by not pitting you against a horde of zombies or an unstoppable monster. It's just you, desperately fighting during World War I, against other people who are desperately fighting in World War I. Call it a spoiler if you want, but there are no monsters waiting for you. It's only ever people, all trying to survive in the only way they can at that moment. It is heart-pounding and heartbreaking, and I cannot recommend it enough. Keep driving. I don't really know how to define this game mechanically, but that's really not the important part. It exudes a wistfulness of a time and an experience that many of us simply didn't have or couldn't have. A freedom that you can't put to words, but that is somehow sung about through whatever is blasting through your car stereo. Of friendship taking in the good and the bad for however long they are with us or however long we can stand them. Of coming into your own as you're trying to figure out who you are at the same time. Of journeys unexpectedly ending when you feel like you're just getting started. The highest highs, the lowest lows, the beauty in nomadism, the comfort in community. That it truly isn't about the destination, it's about the journey. Silent Hill 2, the remake. Turns out, experiencing the original Silent Hill 2 as early as 2024 did not negatively impact my experience with the remake. More importantly, this felt like the story vibrating at a different frequency from the original. Yes, same story, same major beats, but where there was something uncanny about the original, the remake plays it a bit straighter. It is earnest without being hammy, emotional when before it felt unsettling. It doesn't cave to genre norms or evolution. No quips, no upgrade system. Hell, the major change is just throwing a user interface on the screen. Entirely optional, and I would argue, a better experience without it. The remake doesn't just bring Silent Hill to life, it gives new life to its story, making it accessible in both gameplay and presentation for a new generation. Silent Hill 2 wasn't a story that needed new life, but it is that much richer for both of them existing. Slay the Princess. I've seen maybe 20% of what's buried in this game, and 20% was all I needed to fall entirely in love with it. With a visual novel format I would normally be content to go through once, Slay the Princess invites me back out again and again, showing me something new around every corner. It's as simple as that, but it's so much more. It's a love story, just like it says at the top, or it can be, but it's also cosmic horror, fairy tale fable, body horror, existential, singular, sweet, terrifying, no wrong answers, no bad endings. It's a story about characters. It's a story about concepts. It's a story about ideas. It is a story about stories, a game about games. And I cannot stress this enough, that heady kaleidoscopic list of the amazing things this is, that's from one playthrough. I can't imagine what else might be hiding down in that basement next, but there's a reason everyone was going down there a couple years ago. If you haven't yet, you should take a walk up that hill, into that cabin, down those stairs, and see what you find. Or what finds you. Wanderstop. I've talked plenty about my previous work, the burnout, the job tied into my identity, all that jazz. To see a game come out that spoke to that dynamic was unexpected, but God, I needed it. Alta's journey in Wanderstop is one of healing, of finding out who we are when we are separated from our work. Work that we love, work we think we should love, work we are conditioned to love. It dares to say that the things we work so hard on and so hard for are ultimately ephemeral. They will fade. Wanderstop doesn't tell us not to care. On the contrary, it asks for Alta and players to be invested and stay invested, whether in the tasks we choose to pursue, the characters that wander the clearing, or in Alta's own journey of self-discovery. It is a story about growth that looks like stagnation, healing that can feel like pain, and forgiveness when the only one blaming you is yourself. So, what's next? I am proud of what I've done with this channel, what I've made, how I've grown through the entire process. New video releases, remasters, reviews, something dropping monthly since July 2023, and all without caving to YouTube's push for AI to just do the job for me. But in a quantifiable platform like YouTube, the numbers aren't encouraging. If I didn't do this for myself because I love this form of expression, it would be hard to keep doing this. The last time a single video crossed 1,000 views was in March, and that video wasn't even meant for YouTube. That was an exclusive that I decided to open up. Every so often, I'll just sit and wonder, why? Why isn't anything sticking and getting big numbers? Is it because I stopped uploading shorts on a near constant basis? And then I think, no, because before I fully hid them from my dashboard, I didn't really see a lot of essayist-focused shorts on my feed, try as I did to curate that damned equation. Is it because I didn't blast enough other social media sites with video links? Could be, but then that didn't seem to work when I tried to diversify earlier in the year. Is it because I'm just really bad at engaging? Because I get excited about a topic and then immediately dive into that video making process over and over and over again without cultivating a consistent community? Is it because of the political climate in 2025 and my videos not fitting neatly into that political corporate narrative or some nebulous shadow banning process? Is it because I re-release my stuff with improvements to quality and video to keep up with what I've learned and they get flagged as flat re-uploads? I don't know. It could be anything. But then, it could be nothing. All that to say, this isn't a goodbye or retirement or I'm done video. I intend to keep making videos, but the monthly uploads I've tried to hold myself to will likely fade to when I'm good and ready to release them uploads. And for what I've financially made since starting this whole venture, I think I've run a pretty good marathon. Just a reminder, we live in a society and I'm incentivized by money as a need, so, Patreon. I have so much I still want to talk about. Things I haven't gotten around to that I've mentioned before, things that have popped into my head, things I just want an excuse to talk about. Like what it feels like to grow up, New Game Plus, propaganda and police games, work as horror, automation at the end of the world, homes and houses, doom, fascism, capitalism, hell, asexuality in video games, Mass Effect, stress relief, but bad? Terrorism, catharsis and tragedy, Flow and my man Mihai Csikszentmihalyi. Games that talk about games that talk about games that talk about horror games. Endings, time limits, spoons. Yeah, spoons. And you know what? I'm sure there are countless ideas that have yet to blast into my skull cavity. Not to mention, I want to keep remastering older videos as I keep learning more. 2025 sucked in a lot of ways, most of them pretty damn profound. But I'm not done running. Instead of a marathon, think of this more like a leisurely jog instead. We'll get where we're going, and I hope you're all game to keep up. Thanks for sticking around. I'll talk to you again soon.